Hello again. Welcome back to the JMC Reviews. Hope you're having a good October. After delving into the beatnik horror of the 1950s, this week we're going to be going into the 1980s with a bit of fantasy horror and a bit of action. This is 1982's Q, the Winged Serpent.
Today in New York City, the Winged Serpent rules. For 10 centuries, it has waited to release its fury, preparing for the battle of 1,000 years.
Made by exploitation god, the late, great Larry Cohen.
Man against the fantastic flying forces of a lost age.
With my lifelong love of B-movies, it's kind of amazing that it's taken me this long to finally cover a film by Larry Cohen, who is just a staple of exploitation cinema. His career is fascinating to follow and very inspiring when you see the way it progressed over the years. He started out as a TV writer in the 1950s, continued this route throughout the 60s and 70s, even creating a few TV shows. He eventually worked his way to the big screen, and before you knew it, he just sprang onto the scene in the 1970s, directing many cult classics of the blaxploitation genre and killer mutant baby films. He would work regularly over the next 3 decades, directing many horror films and also writing scripts for much more mainstream directors. He was known for being daring, often filming his films in a very guerrilla style. He mixed genres and wasn't afraid to go over the line at times. In 2017, a documentary was made about his life and career called King Cohen.
Larry Cohen is like the white Martin Luther King for movies.
I would go down to an area with 5,000 policemen and shoot a movie without permission.
It's called pushing the envelope. Larry does it all the time with actors and with the environments in the world, and God bless him.
And one of his most beloved horror films of the 1980s is Q, the Winged Serpent, a low-budget monster film that doesn't have a ton of budget, but has a lot of personality and is still highly regarded amongst many fans, not just of Cohen, but of monsters, practical special effects, and the many stars of the time. To describe the plot of the film is not the easiest, but I will do my best. A bunch of bizarre deaths, mostly taking place on the high-rise buildings, are rocking New York City. 2 detectives, Shepard, played by David Carradine, and Powell, played by Richard Roundtree, tirelessly investigate. Eventually, as nutty as it may sound, Shepard ties the high-rise deaths to a series of ritualistic killings being committed by a cult of Neo-Aztecs.
I'm telling you, somebody did a terrific job on this guy with all the right tools. Peeled him like an orange.
Somebody skinned him.
Flayed is the correct term, I think. Though you don't hear it much anymore. At least not in the last 10 centuries.
Sure. Why not?
The cult is committing these ritual murders to raise the Aztec god Quetzalcoatl, aka Q.
Moi?
No, not that Q. A winged reptilian beast that flies around the Big Apple, plucking and munching down any unlucky bastard who decided today was a roof day. Its victims range from creepy window washers, crybaby construction workers, and topless suntanners. Meanwhile, a neurotic small-time crook named Jimmy Quinn, played by Michael Moriarty, on the run from a botched robbery, discovers where Q has set up its nest. The very tip-top of the New York Chrysler Building. Now, he could do the noble thing and tell the cops where the serpent is before any more people get killed. But nah, he decides to sit on this valuable information, letting the crisis build, making the city more desperate so he can blackmail them into giving him whatever he wants.
Shit-eating son of a bitch! Bastard! Douchebag!
How Q the Winged Serpent came into fruition is pretty interesting. Larry Cohen had written the script for the 1982 neo-crime thriller I, the Jury, starring Armand Assante. Cohen was also set to direct the film in New York City, but due to some behind-the-scenes bullshit, was fired and replaced. And no joke, Cohen, not wanting to waste the hotel room he'd already paid for, cooked up the idea for Q the Winged Serpent. He apparently hired the film's actors and prepared the shooting script within a period of only 6 days, which is fucking incredible when you take into account the scale of the movie. So yeah, this crazy monster flick exists because Larry Cohen didn't want to lose his stinking hotel room. Cohen said Q was made at the same time I, the Jury was also filming in New York, and they actually were able to finish ahead of that film's production.
Yes!
Cohen was inspired to set the film in the Chrysler Building after taking a look at it one day, thinking it was beautiful and how the tip would be a cool place for a nest. The owners of the Chrysler Building were originally against letting Cohen film in it, but a check for $18,000, over $58,000 in today's market, quickly made them change their minds.
Well, money talks and bullshit walks.
Now, this is a good, crazy B-movie roller coaster of a film, but it's not completely without fault, and as I try to, I feel it's only fair that I list my cons. First, the character of Sergeant Powell. Not that there's anything wrong with Richard Roundtree, he was a fun actor, but this role was just a waste. The Powell character is pretty one note, given no interesting moments, and exits the film like a one-scene victim instead of one of the main characters. I mean, come on! Why would you bother hiring fucking Shaft for your movie if you're not gonna use him to full goddamn effect? He is worth so much more than just being the token black guy that dies halfway through the movie.
I'll wait outside. The stench in here is enough to make you throw up! Yeah.
Second, the Aztec cult and ritual killings. While it does serve to give an explanation as to where the Winged Serpent comes from, the cult shit really took me out of the film whenever it was on screen. This aspect of the movie isn't given a ton of development and has so little screen time that you could cut it out entirely and lose nothing. This is a case where the John Carpenter method of not over-explaining could have helped the film. Although, as sloppily woven into the story as these scenes are, it does give us this stupefyingly funny moment.
Let us finish in peace! Get out!
He's coming for me. He's coming for me.
What can I say? They thought he looked suspicious.
Well, I get that, Howard. One bullet says they were very, very suspicious.
Lastly, and unfortunately, the stop-motion effects for Q. Now don't get me wrong, I love stop-motion animation, and I can always appreciate a low-budget film doing the best they can with what little budget they have, but just look at this. Holy shit, this looks awful. Now, Q itself looks cool, but when they try to splice the stop-motion model against live-action footage, it's just bad. Just look at this clip where Q lands in the Chrysler Building and plucks a poor schmuck out to his death. They're not even using live footage, it's a fucking still frame. This is where you can tell the film was rushed into production. If you think I'm being too harsh, just look at how much better the stop-motion live-action footage was interwoven in Jason and the Argonauts. Ray Harryhausen, this shit ain't. But those are my cons, and they're pretty limited. Now, let's get into what I consider the pros. Despite the unfortunate visual effects work, the movie has an overall effective atmosphere. Very eerie, with a strong sense of danger. This is owed to the joint cinematography of Fred Murphy and Oliver Wood, and the incredible music score by the amazing exploitation composer, Robert O. Raglan. But the thing that makes Q, the Winged Serpent, work the most are the actors. The most praised part of the film being Michael Moriarty's performance as Jimmy Quinn. I recently started checking out the early seasons of the original Law & Order, which starred Michael Moriarty as Ben Stone, the ADA before Jack McCoy. It's led me to really enjoy and admire Michael Moriarty as an actor. Naturally, it also made me want to check out his other work, which is what led me to Q, the Winged Serpent. The first of 5 collaborations between Michael Moriarty and Larry Cohen that would span a period of 25 years. In most of the reviews I've seen for Q, the general consensus, even among critics who didn't care for the film, is that Michael Moriarty's performance is amazing. Original asshole critic Rex Reed apparently told the film's producer, legendary B-movie distributor Samuel Z. Arkoff, that the movie was dreck with a great method performance by Michael Moriarty in the middle of it. Arkoff replied, "The dreck was my idea."
Oh, rim shot!
Does Michael Moriarty's performance live up to the hype? At first I wasn't sure. For a while, I found the character of Jimmy Quinn extremely annoying and pretty easy to hate.
You've gotta do the decent thing.
All my life I've been a nobody, and right now I can be somebody important.
What are you gonna do if someone dies tomorrow or the next day?
Well, I'm not gonna think about it, you know? It won't be my fault. It'll be theirs if they don't give me what I want.
But around the halfway point, it hit me. He's supposed to be an unlikable lump of shit.
$1 million in cash, tax-free. I have never paid tax in my life, and I'm not about to start now.
Quinn, when you come down to it, is a miserable, pathetic loser. He's a cowardly, spineless crook who's failed at everything in life except crime. And even then, he's not very good at it. He's unpleasant to the few folk that show him sympathy, turns into a blubbering bitch when overwhelmed, revels at the chance to hold power over people and be a smug cunt about it, and in one scene, shows himself to be a little racist.
You know, I met you once before, Quinn. You were singing some kind of scat song.
You know who taught me how to do that? The big 7-foot spook in the box taught me, that big nigger maniac who came to me.
This is not an easy character to play or carry the film with, but goddamn, Michael Moriarty gives it his all. Playing a worthless, insufferable human being, but still managing to give him some human moments. Not enough to make him likable, but they are there. Sure, there are some over-the-top moments, but you can never accuse Michael Moriarty of being a half-asser. Just look at the scene where he tricks 2 former accomplices into getting gobbled up by Q.
I've never killed anybody in my life, and I didn't kill you guys. You asked for it. Sure as I'm standing here.
The only thing about Jimmy Quinn that hurts the film, in my opinion, is the fact that he doesn't get mauled to death by Q by the end of the film. This is not a character you want to see survive. This is the kind of character you root to see die, or go to prison and get gang raped every day for the rest of his life.
That's really fucking disturbing.
I know that's terrible, but he really is that despicable. Nonetheless, Michael Moriarty plays the character to scum perfection and is still able to keep him interesting to the point that he never gets dull. The second billed actor of the film is Candy Clark, best known for The Man Who Fell to Earth and her Oscar-nominated role in George Lucas's American Graffiti. Clark plays Quinn's kind-hearted girlfriend, Joan, who, despite his history of failure and, as she reveals, being physically abusive, tries to help and see the good in him. Oh, you poor, poor girl. But But thankfully, she finally sees the horridness of his personality and cuts him out of her life.
I saw you, Quinn, when you thought you had some power, and it wasn't pretty. And I don't want to share in that, so you just take a walk.
Admittedly, Joan isn't a vital character to the story, more or less serving as the pretty face of the film, which has a lot of non-pretty players in its cast. But Clark doesn't sleepwalk through this role, giving an emotionally intense performance that plays off perfectly against Michael Moriarty. And her scenes really help in making us realize just what a motherfucker Quinn is. But the best and, sadly, most underappreciated part of Q is David Carradine as Detective Shepard.
I want to thank you for the information. I can't even pronounce Quetzalcoatl, much less spell it.
Oh, God is a much shorter word.
Takes its prey back to the nest.
Fly right in line with the sun, so when people look up at it, it's blinded for a minute.
I believe David Carradine's casting came about due to him and Larry Cohen having met while they were serving together in the Army many years ago, and I've always liked David Carradine. Sure, he's no Laurence Olivier, but the man always knew how to carry a film or TV show with a perfect balance of stoicism and smooth charisma. In a way, he feels more like the main character than Jimmy Quinn. Shepard has a strong, commanding demeanor, is the first cop smart enough to figure out there's something otherworldly going on, and is just overall a pleasant dude. He's undeniably the hero of this film, and David Carradine fully embodies this role by the movie's climax. Also, just as a fun, self-indulgent side note, you can clearly see David Carradine's hair is thinning in places, and despite going bald, he still chooses to wear his hair long. I can respect it. Another strong part of Q is how, despite its gruesome horror moments, Larry Cohen knew not to take this zany plot too seriously, making sure to insert some comedy here and there, and we do get some really funny scenes, like after Quinn discovers Q's nest and Joan offers to cook him some eggs.
No eggs. I don't want to ever see another egg ever.
Shepard's reaction after the serpent almost bites his head off during the climax.
Big.
And it would be a goddamn crime if I didn't spotlight this fucking scene. Before encountering the Winged Serpent, Quinn auditions to play piano at a bar Joan works in, performing a song called Evil Dream, and not very well.
Go away, evil dream. Leave my baby alone.
It's hilarious in the most cringe way possible.
Go away, evil dream. Go away now. She wakes up crying every night.
And fun fact, Michael Moriarty actually is a jazz musician. The singing and piano playing you hear is his own. He performed the song on the spot, completely improvising everything, giving it a genuine awkward quality. Later, we actually hear a more professionally done version on the soundtrack.
What do you do? What you do to make my baby feel? You'd better quit messing around, 'cause I'm gonna get myself a gun.
Hard to say if it's good, but it sounds a lot better than the live version. No shock, he doesn't get the job. The only person to compliment him is Shepard.
Sounded okay to me.
Yeah? What the fuck do you mean?
And he still acts like a prick. But a movie's ending can always make or break it, so how does the story play out? Shepard and his men fill the tip of the Chrysler building, armed with Smith & Wesson machine guns. They destroy the nest. Sergeant Powell gets killed elsewhere while working with an undercover mime.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I just can't cope with freaky stuff.
Q returns to the Chrysler building and a long shootout to the death ensues. Here are two wild facts facts about this scene. The majority of the cops shooting at the end aren't actors. They're actually window washers who regularly scrub the upper windows of the Chrysler building, and Cohen used them because this meant they could be outside at 70 to 75 stories and not freak out. And while filming the aerial shots of the cops shooting at Q, the actors were firing blanks, causing actual shells to rain down from about 70 to 75 stories above. Just to be clear, they had a safety net set up to catch the shells so no one could get hurt, but Jesus Christ! Cohen was hoping to get shots of normal folk on the ground reacting to the gunfire, but in typical New York fashion, especially in the pre-9/11 era, almost no one paid attention. Cohen already said this at one point before he died, but it bears repeating. You could not shoot this film in New York today. After the Serpent is taken down, the Aztec cult leader, almost forgot he's in the film, springs on Quinn, attempting to use him for another sacrifice ritual. Shepard arrives in time to save him, giving us what has to be one of the most ridiculous deaths I have ever seen.
I think you got him.
A shot in the head and the heart, and he still gets up?
This guy does not die easily.
I guess that Aztec magic does more than summon bad claymation. Quinn quickly fucks off, still acting like Ezra Miller on a good weekend. Shepard decides to call it a day, and after that what the fuck nonsensical character wrap-up, we get what is honestly a pretty sick cliffhanger. And did we ever get a sequel? No, never happened. Larry Cohen made 2 sequels to It's Alive, but Q the Winged Serpent doesn't get a follow-up? Disappointed! So that was Q, the Winged Serpent, Larry Cohen's admitted personal favorite of his own work, and it's got a lot of flaws, but it's still got the B-movie charm that I just thrive on, and overall, I had a good time with it, and it was really cool to see Michael Moriarty and David Carradine in this lesser-known part of their careers. Critical reception was pretty mixed, but a lot of critics did enjoy it. It was not a financial hit, grossing only $255,000 on a $1.1 million budget. You know you're in trouble when the Oogie Loves makes more money than you. But it's since become a beloved cult classic over the past 40 plus years. It's not for everybody, but if you go into this knowing what it is and just looking for a fun, cheesy time, you're gonna get it. It's got blood, laughs, the occasional tit shot, a killer music score, and a stellar cast. What more could you ask for? I recommend checking it out. I will see you again, hopefully soon.
This city needs me now. And get the owner of that newspaper. What's his name? Murdoch? Get Rupert down here.